How you doing, guys? My name is Dakota Olave. I'm one of the boys, and I'm here today to kind of tell you my story. Kind of how I grew up, things that have happened to get me to where I am today, causing me to feel the things I feel and wanting to do the things I want to do to help other people. So, the reason I'm telling you this story today is to give you a sense of inspiration, or to show you that even in the most unfavorable circumstances like mine, you can turn it around and you can do some good. You don't have to succumb to things that have happened. You can overcome it. That's why it's called overcoming. You click the video. So we're gonna go ahead and start when I was born. I was born in 1995 in Hayward, and we lived in Hayward till about 1997, right before my little brother was born. We moved to Modesto and we lived on a street called Woodworth, and we had the whole 9 yards. We had a neighborhood where we had friends, we had a fort, we had a pool, we could see my dad. It was cool. And then my mom and dad decided we're gonna move to Baja, California and move our kids there. And it was gonna be a great idea, it really was, until the people foreclosed and did not buy the house. And because of that, we were left without a house. And that, I guess, I would say would be the starting of everything that happened. From there, we moved to a hotel for a few weeks in Modesto, downtown Modesto, until we can get a place for a few months. But we eventually got to that house, and we lived there for a few months until we had to move again. So we moved back actually on the same street that I originally lived on Woodworth and Modesto, but we lived across the street. Everything was good, until two things. One, my dad being a truck driver, he used to take us around. We were in LA, and my dad, him having a drinking problem, parked his truck one night and said, to wait in the truck, in the cab. And I was like, okay. And he went to go get food, which really was him going, to get a drink. I guess a part of his big rig was stuck in a red zone, so a policeman knocked on the door. Me, being young, I was like, it's a policeman, I have to answer the door, even though my dad said not to. When I answered the door, they asked, where's your dad? And me being young, I didn't know. I said I don't know, and that was a problem. That was child endangerment. They put me on the back of the police car, and they had me point at my dad. They drew their guns and made him get on the ground, and they arrested him. He lost his job, of course. Shortly after that, living in that house after that had happened, my now dad has no job, he has a drinking problem, and, issues with, my parents, divorce, this and that. To top it off, at that house, the people that we had lived with sexually abused me. I was 7 years old. It was in 2002. Told my parents, and they got involved with, the authorities or whatever was appropriate, and we moved. We went to therapy to try to deal with that, and it's all right. We live with it, and we know what had happened, and we were able to deal with it healthily and overcome that. Shortly after that, though, we had moved again because it's obviously unsafe to be there. We moved to the west side of Turlock. I could say the good thing, I guess, would be that's when we got our dog Coco, and I got accepted into the GATE program, which is the Gifted and Talented Education. So that was kind of a sign that, I was moving a little bit faster. But that's not over. We moved again. This time it's around 2005, we moved to the second worst street in Turlock. Mind you, this is a place where our bicycles, my brothers and I, got stolen in our own backyard. It wasn't our fault, we did everything we could to keep it safe, and, still got stolen. Kind of gives you an idea, soon enough, we had to move again. My parents got evicted because the landlord of that house had paid us to demolish the barn in the backyard, and we did it, but they did not pay us. And my mom kind of gave the finger to them and said, okay, well, we're not going to pay you for the rent, kind of reimbursement on that. Well, eviction. So this was, I guess, kind of the real big blow to us. This is the kind of the time where now I was officially homeless. My mom tried to keep up every time something bad had happened. New house or new place to stay. Always kept the roof over our head. This time, though, she couldn't keep up anymore. We didn't have a home to go to. So we slept in a car. We slept in a number of locations, I would say. Some places being like the freeway truck stops. Yeah, behind churches, and I guess our favorite one, the one that kind of was disguised the most, was camping. We were camping for 3 months. You know, my mom always made sure to take us to school, but we would sleep in a tent or the car, depending on, you know, how cold it was and whatnot. There were restrooms over there, they had showers over there. But mind you, they're camping showers, you know, cold water, you know, basic necessities we had, but, you know, nothing more. Yeah, fast forward a little bit. My mom was able to finally get us, I guess, at least a roof over our heads, and we moved back to Turlock, where we moved into a hotel near the fairgrounds. We were there, I think, for 1 or 2 months, and we had electricity, we had hot water, we had a bed. So it was really an upgrade. It was nice. It was more than we had for a while. That's when I guess things started looking better, I guess, for a while. We moved to Denair, finally got another place, a steady place, a place where me and my brothers had our own rooms. We had a kitchen, the whole 9 yards again. Actually, that's where I met the person filming right now. That's where I met you, Trent, when I moved to Denair. So, good things happened when I moved to Denair. We lived there at that house for about 5 years, and then we moved in about 2011, where we got our permanent house, where we've been living there since until I moved away. So I would like to think that that was the end of, you know, the string of events, but it wasn't. My dad, you know, mentioned earlier, he liked to drink, and because of that, he chose to hang out with the wrong people. And one night, you know, he got hit over the head with a crowbar. They stole his wallet, they forged the pink slip to his car, they took everything he had, wiped out his banks, you know, it was someone he knew. And that left my dad in the ICU, which is the intensive care unit. And my dad was never the same after that. He was in there for a while until he got moved into a regular, you know, bed. And even then, as soon as they were legally allowed to kick him out, they did, because he didn't have insurance, because he didn't have a job. After that, you know, my dad being homeless himself, he bought a gun. Didn't buy a clip, didn't buy, you know, ammunition, just the gun, just to scare anybody if, you know, they ever tried to hurt him again. And my dad one day got picked up at the park, no problem. My dad did it and went back home, you know, wherever home was for him. Being homeless, you know, hanging out with whoever he hung out with and drinking. Started doing drugs, I guess as a way to cope, you know. My mom and divorced, he lost everything. And because of that gun incident, my dad got flagged by ICE. And my dad's legal. My dad is allowed to be here. But since he's not a citizen, he is not allotted certain privileges and rights that you or I may have. So he got flagged by ICE, and they stormed his friend's house, where I guess he was staying at this time, and they picked him up. They took him to Sacramento, where he stayed for a while, going to San Francisco back and forth, fighting a case to stay here in the United States. My mom, my brothers, and I, we fought the case. We got a lawyer for him, did everything. You know, it's not very likely to win those cases, but we did. My dad was able to stay. It was a miracle. It really was. That night, we, you know, took my dad home, and in the middle of the night, he left. A couple days later, we got a call from the hospital. He was in a coma. Couldn't do anything. My dad, you know, being in prison for a while, the ICE, had to stop doing those drugs and had to stop drinking. And my dad was already dying of cirrhosis of the liver because of the alcohol. And when he got out, he started doing drugs and drinking again. You can't do that, you know, when you stop out of nowhere and continue with the same amount you're doing or whatever you're doing. So he was in a coma. The doctor said the chances were very, very, very ever likely that he'd wake up, and if he did, he would be like a vegetable. So that night, we called his mother, we called his brother, and they drove down, and we had to pull the plug on my dad, which isn't easy. So yeah, skip to 2015 now. I've weighed everything that's happened. I've seen everything that's happened in that life. And I know I don't want to live that life. I want to be more than that. I want to help people not have to go through that, or to feel, that there's more than that. God, I'm a wreck. Yeah, so I decided, in 2015 that I'm gonna move. I'm gonna make something of myself, do something. So I moved to Orange County. And I moved in with who I would call like my second parents, Kevin and Carrie. Which, if you're watching this, Kevin and Carrie, I love you so much. You've been such a big impact in my life. God! Yeah, so I moved in with Kevin and Carrie. And I had arranged to live there 1 month. And I think I moved out like on the 23rd day or 25th day or something like that. And then I got my first place ever, my own, a place to call my own in San Pedro with a friend from Modesto named Carlos. And I lived there for about 6 months. And I was still with my girlfriend at the time, who still lived in Northern California. I thought that's what I wanted. I thought she's what I wanted. So I moved back to Northern California. And it took me a short time, about 6 months, to realize that I can't be here. I can't do this. I told her I'd still be with her, but I can't be here. I need to do something. So I moved back, and I moved back to Kevin and Carrie's. And again, same arrangement. I lived there for a month. I found my own place. They offered me that if I went to school, that they would let me stay there for free, where I could save money and get an education, do things that were important, and make moves that need to be made, which I will forever be grateful for. I lived there for about a year until they decided to move to Oklahoma. And from that point, I had to move again. So I decided, okay, what am I gonna do? Where am I gonna go? I thought Trent, my best friend, the person I grew up with my whole life, we were always like, oh, we're gonna move in, we're gonna do things. We made it happen. I called him up one day. I was like, you down? This is what's happening. I have an opportunity. Do you want to do it? And he said, 100%, let's do it. We moved in together. We found our own place, which now we're sitting in our place right now filming this, making videos on YouTube, making videos on TikTok, on Instagram. We're living a good life, I guess, as most people would think or say. Now and today, I think about everything that's gone on. I mean, talk about overcoming, right? We started our own company. It's called Lousy Friends. We run a YouTube channel called The Boys Official, also an Instagram page. Things are good. But I think it's important that everybody hears the story, because a lot of people can be granted every opportunity in life and succeed, and that's great, honestly. I want to provide that for my kids, to have every opportunity they ever want. But, I'm gonna get teary again. But some people don't have every opportunity given to them as others, and I want to show them that they can do more with their lives than just sit there and say that this is my life, that this is all I'm gonna be, because that's what my life should have been, could have been, would have been. But now I'm sitting here very grateful, talking about my life. So moving forward, the plan from here. I want to use my story and everything that has happened to continuously provide for people who may not have, let's say, a support system, an older brother, a means to therapy, anything. I want to, I guess, per se, be like someone like Logic, someone I really admire. He'll be like a photo right here or something. His message is about peace, love, positivity, and that's kind of my base, my structure, my foundation on what I want to do, because I don't want to sit here and just let my story go silent. I want to be a role model and inspiration, and do that on the biggest platform I can, and I guess that's what we're doing now. So I know you're watching this probably right now on The Boys Official on YouTube or Facebook, but you now know that I wasn't handed everything in life, and I'm just trying to do something for myself. This is so much bigger than that. This is for everyone, and God, I can't even do it. I can't even finish it. This is for everyone. This is for you. Thank you guys for watching.
But wait! There's more!